and didn't hear the whole gist of where we went from where it was presented to us to the end result. And I think our overall purpose of the 1 year was to get that landowner to show their intent. And what we used was examples that were already that had taken place in the county by homes that had been disposed of by fire. One was in the Core Peak area, and one was on the Williston Road area between Black Mingle Road and Abundant Hope Church. And we used those examples as to gather a timeline as to when those persons felt like that they were in place to make a decision. And if I remember correctly, the Core Peak situation, they were in her office within 90 days. I think the situation on Williston Road, they were in there in a shorter timeline, probably no more than 90 days. But what we were looking at, and Joe can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what we were looking at was on a case-by-case position. And I don't think anybody on the planning board had an issue that if it was presented to Morgan, that she would bring it to y'all and y'all would issue a variance to that petition on a case-by-case. And what we were after is the old saying, one apple rocks the basket. What we were scared of was the one person that would ruin the situation for the other 99 people that would want to have an extended time. So what we were after was to get them to show their intent of what they would do. If it came to 12 months or 365 days, not 366 days, but if they came up to 365 and below, they were to notify her of their issues, say, and I think you brought it up about insurance, if it was on an insurance investigation, whether it would be fire or natural disaster, that it could be drug out to 18 months, but they had to communicate to her what was going on. And I think that's what we came up with the 12 months as a case-by-case issue, and then she would fulfill it with merit to bring it to y'all for y'all to grant the variance. She did present to us 6 months, and we all felt like the 6 months was not long enough, and it was unanimous in the board that it was 12. I don't know that I would have an issue going to 24, but I do think that we've got to have some parameters on it for her to be the mechanism to say to y'all, this has merit to grant a longer stay of beyond the 365 or the 24-month period. But we've got to start with something to work inside the box. Is 12 months too small of a box? Is 24 months the right size of the box? We started with 6 months, and obviously we increased that to 12. So I guess we need some type of dialogue with y'all, other than in a forum of this, as to y'all's gut feelings about, I mean, the constituents report back to y'all, and I can understand Commissioner Jordan's position, but I think where we're at today was brought up from an issue prior of presentation that we didn't have in there, that if our home was ravaged by fire, that we were too restrictive. Am I not correct? So that's when we came up with the building permit and the 12 months and expanded from what information she had got. So saying all of that, I really think that we can use the 12-month as a part. I think that we can use Morgan as our mechanism to look at it as a case-by-case, and if it does have merit, she can bring it back to y'all for a case-by-case variance. That was.
Let me just play the. I won't say devil's advocate. Let me just give you an opposite view. We're talking about burned homes and so forth. When you've got a restriction there, let's say a home burns, and if you've got a restriction, you say, well, I'm going to give you 1 year, I'm going to give you 24 months. If the owner does not meet that criteria, guess what we've got in the county? We've got a burned out home, a structure that's not replaced, can't replace it, homeowner's not able to tear it down. So what we're doing is we're leaving foundations, we're leaving more community eyesores, if you will, that's continually making our county look worse. So,
Yep.
you know, my intent is, I want that homeowner to do something with it. I want him to tear it down, I want him to put up a new home and put it back in its place. I'm not saying 24 months is the right time, but certainly I want that homeowner to reasonably have the opportunity to use that property to bring the community, keep the community to the standards and the looks that we would like to have in Gates County. You know, just to say you can't put it here, you can't do anything with it now, you're leaving an eyesore for the county. Just wanted to make that point, when we put that restriction in.
I understand fully, and no disrespect, in the comment that I'm about to make, but we've got two prime examples of what you're referring to right now. One is on Highway 32 in the Silver Springs Road, where that house was ravaged by fire over 5 or 6 years ago. That homeowner, landowner, whomever, has not showed any intent to the county of what they want to do, and the honeysuckle is growing up in the house. The next example is in the Ewer area of Corner High. That house was ravaged some 5 or 6 years ago. What is the intent? I mean, obviously the county is getting paid their tax value on it. I haven't seen a foreclosure on it, but you know, what is their intent? You know, obviously, both of them to a degree had neighbors on the side. I can understand Commissioner Hort's position on that, but how far is enough? I mean,
Okay, let's say that they can't. Let's say that's one of those lots that's non-conforming, and they can't. If you've got a town that they can't do anything with it. Well, what we got now is an eyesore. What we need to do as a board is we're working on it, Morgan, supposed to work on this, is that we are putting in place requirements to deal with those type homes. That's something that's in the works as we speak now. So when you put that in place, all of a sudden, the homeowner has to do something with those type of properties that are not meeting standards. But when you do something with it, they also need the opportunity to be able to put something back there if they're going to invest that money. So, you know, I think we can dialogue and come to some agreement. I personally would like to see as a minimum 24 months. You know, whether or not that's the right number, I'm not saying that is, but also in conjunction with that, I think we still need to move forward, and I speak to Morgan and Toby, in dispositioning these types of properties so that landowners will, as you put, when do we stop? So that they will have some type of responsibility moving forward. But I think they work together.
and understand this, I don't think any member of the board, and the 7 members that were there, I don't think any board member had any thoughts or restraining thoughts of not allowing that person the opportunity to replace that structure back on their property. That is no intent on the planning board whatsoever. We want to work with them, but as I said before, you've got some people that'll stretch that 1 year or 2 years to 5 years. We've got to have some model in place to say, if it's going to be 24 months, that's what we got to do. But nowhere in our conversations does the planning board, and I want this heard very loud and clear, the planning board has not presented this to y'all as a restricted member of replacing a ravaged structure.
Well, I think that, and